What's up guys, this is Chris here, and today I'm going to be doing a video a lot of other people have done. But I wanted to give you actual Glock alternatives. And what I mean by that is, instead of just finding some polymer gun that has a better trigger or has a better feature in some way, I really tried to find 5 guns that cannot beat Glock in a couple of ways, but in a lot of ways. And not only that, but all of them can be found for less than a standard Gen 5, and all of them can be found with more features than a Gen 5. Now, to add to that, they're not all new whiz-bang guns. A lot of these guns have similar track records, similar reliability, better accuracy, better speed, and a lot of other things that I think you guys would be very interested in. Now, by making this video, I'm not saying that Glock is a bad gun. I know Glock is the gold standard of firearms, and make no mistake, it is. It's the highest selling gun of the last 2 decades. The Glock 19, I think, is the highest selling pistol of all time. I think followed directly second or third or fourth by the Glock 17. They're incredibly popular, incredibly successful designs that have been copied and, in my opinion, improved on over the years. Now, again, not discounting Glock at all. For those of you who watch this channel, you'll know that I'm a huge Glock fanboy. This is my home defense gun currently that I took right out of home defense rotation. This is my interpretation of the John Wick Glock 34, which I really enjoy. Speed, weight, ratio, all awesome. Problem is, with this gun, in order to get what I want out of it, I had to put a lot of accessories on it. And if you're the type of guy that doesn't like to tinker, doesn't like to accessorize, this is a good list for you, because a lot of these guns are gonna come out with a lot of these features right out of the box. And again, can't stress that enough, this is my carry gun. My main carry gun that I literally just did a video on a couple of weeks ago, and this is a Glock 43X, which again was in the top 3 highest selling pistols of this year. So Glock is the gold standard, yes, but things are catching up to it, and I like that because it keeps pushing innovation and guns keep getting better and better every year, and the result of that competition is some of the guns we see on the table. So with that being said, before we get to number 5 here, I do want to mention my Patreon supporters. Thank you guys very much. It's because of you guys these videos exist. A lot of the ammo, the guns, all that was bought by you guys. That's the best way to support the channel. If you're interested, please go down there, click the description, and there's a link in there, and just subscribe to the Patreon. Also, there's a link to a local shelter in Ames, Iowa. It's the YSS. I'd really appreciate if you would go down and support that local youth shelter. It really means a lot to me. If you like these videos, want to see more of them, go down and hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell to see future videos, and finally, I did want to mention Outlaw Life. It's our new channel. It's a little bit of a behind the scenes thing. I'm doing a lot of gun testing on there, a little bit less editing, a little bit more bullshit. The wife actually has a lot of videos on there as well. So if you're interested in checking out our, I guess, the Life channel, go over to Outlaw Life. Let's get into number 5. And number 5 is going to be a gun that I think you get an awful lot for the money, and that is going to be the Canik TP9 Series. So the Canik TP9 Series is a cheaper gun than Glock. You can get them somewhere between $350 and $600 depending on what type of features that you're after. If you're looking at the new Canik Dark Side series, I mean, you're getting all the features of this gun, which cost about $1,500, for around $600, and you actually get a better trigger than you could ever achieve in a Glock. It has a pre-cocked striker fired trigger, the same as the Walther P99. You're actually going to see a couple of P99 clones on this list because of just how amazing they are. But the Canik series does it the best for the least amount of money, in my opinion. This is the TP9 SC Elite. This is a subcompact, and you get 12 to 15 rounds in the gun, right? It's a little bit bigger than a Glock 26, a little bit smaller than a Glock 19, but it comes with tons of good features, including optics mounts, night sights, front slide serrations, good texture, good grip, back straps, a good trigger, comes with 3 magazines, and overall you get that for around $400 to $500 depending on where you find the gun. Now, I didn't pick 5 guns that can compete with the Glock 26 or the Glock 19 or the Glock 17. I picked 5 Glock Alternatives, which is why almost all the guns on this list will have the same magazine compatibility with their bigger brothers as their smaller brothers, because that's one of the cool things about Glock. You can put a Glock 34 magazine, a 33 round magazine, into a Glock 26 if you need to. Well, you can do the same thing with the Canik series. You can take the big Canik series 25 round magazines, and you can use that as a backup mag for this if you so choose. If you want to go out to the range, you don't want to reload a bunch of mags all the time, you can take all the mags from your entire collection. So if you get with the Canik series, you can go subcompact, you can go compact, you can go full size, or you can even go long slide, just like the Glock series. So you get a direct competitor in almost every way that has good reliability, probably not the same reliability track record that Glock does, because I don't know if any gun actually has that anymore, honestly, maybe the 1911, but you get really good reliability. I have a 1,000 round review of this and several other Caniks as well with no malfunctions, very nice. You get the same magazine compatibility and you get an improved trigger with improved ergonomics, better features for less money, and you get a better trigger. Now, in at number 4 is gonna be my controversial choice, and I couldn't decide here because I almost put the 320 series on the list. And I came really, really close to putting the 320 series on the list just simply because of its modularity, its popularity, and its ability to compete with Glock in almost every category. The problem I have is I'm looking for better guns than Glock. Sorry, I had to stick that one in there. There's a lot of ways where the 320 is a better gun than Glock, especially in modularity and especially in overall accessorization, I guess. However, I've had some reliability issues with these, and a lot of times the SIGs that I really like are more expensive than the Glock. So instead of the SIG, almost went with the Hellcat. This one got edged out, although I do like this gun and the size and weight profile is right on point. The gun I ended up going with is a gun that I recently sold and will be buying the new version, and that is the IWI Masada. And for a lot of people that haven't heard of that, it is a direct Glock competitor. It's a striker-fired polymer frame pistol. There are big versions and small versions, but the regular version, the Glock 45-ish version that I had, comes in around $400, which is crazy low, especially in 2022, considering that you get all the features that you get with it. You get a great trigger with it, you get good night sights, you get optics-ready capability. There are models for under $500 that have threaded barrels, which is very cool. You get great reliability, you get a good track record from IWI. IWI does not make bad stuff, at least in my experience. I've had some ergonomic issues with IWI, but I've never in my entire life had a reliability issue with any of their guns, and that makes a lot of sense, considering what they're made for generally. You get the same lightweight, same capacity, same magazine and holster availability, so to speak. You can find holsters pretty well for them. The only real knock I can have on them is they're just not as readily available as all the other guns on this list, which is why it's kind of my controversial pick. And they haven't been quite tested in police and military track records quite as well as some of the other guns on the table as well. But in my experience, they are just as accurate, if not more accurate, and they are just as reliable, and they come in at about $200 less with actually some more features. So I like the IWI Masada a lot, and if you're interested, again, 1,000 round review, just look it up. In at number 3, we have one of my absolute personal favorites. This is the CZ P10 series. This is the CZ P10F. This is the full size. I've had the compact, I've had the subcompact, I've had the slimline, and I've had the long slide version of this gun. Just like Glock, they make all 5 versions. I like that a lot. And the magazine compatibility goes across the board, at least the subcompact to the long slide. This gun has higher capacity right out of the box, and the Glock series is coming at 19 rounds plus 1. You get a much better trigger, a lower bore axis with the same classic CZ inverted slide rails, which allow you to have a little bit less recoil, which is very nice. The gun has great texture across the board, although I did add a little bit of grip tape. It's got good controls, solid controls that work very well. Comes with pretty good sights out of the box, but what I really like about this gun more than anything else is the speed and accuracy of this gun. 100% reliability across the board. The accuracy is way better than a stock Glock in my personal opinion. The trigger coming out of the box is several pounds lighter than a standard Glock, and the reset on the trigger is incredibly fast as well. You feel like you're literally shooting a match version of a Glock when you actually pick one of these up, and I'm kind of surprised they're not as popular. I wonder if it's something to do with like the European ergonomics, or maybe CZ is kind of seen as like a hipster gun. However, this gun is just as reliable, just as durable, and much more accurate and fast, at least for me. Not only are they more available than the previous Masada, these are available pretty much in every gun store, but holsters and magazine availability is a little bit more than the Masada as well. Now you also have to understand that you get better trigger, better sights, overall better ergonomics with this gun, but it also does come in at a lower price than Glock, just like the previous two. So that's why the CZ P10 is at number 3. I have like 3,000 or 4,000 rounds through the CZ P10 series on the channel, and I honestly could not be happier with the gun. Now, in at number 2 is going to be my dirty old M&P. Now, as you can see here, this M&P has been through a lot of work because this is for sure one of my duty guns, one of my carry guns. This is one of our home defense guns, and as you can see, this thing has been beat up. I accidentally left this out for a while, a couple of years ago, and decided I wouldn't even clean it. I just want to see how long it can go. I am a gun tester after all, and the M&P series is a lot more reliable and accurate than most people give them credit for. Now, I don't know if you saw Grant Thumb's like ice test, but there's literally a meme about the M&P now because it actually did better in the ice test than the Glock did. Now, is that a practical test that's going to give you the perfect score across the board? Absolutely not. That being said, it does show the potential of the M&P series, and personally with my reviews, we've done torture tests of these guns, mud, sand, dirt. We've done 1,000-round reviews of not only the 2.0 compact, but of the shields, of the subcompact, of the long slide, and of the full size. And they're all just as reliable and durable in my experience as the Glock. Now, I think a lot of people would agree with that considering all the guns have been on the table. The M&P has been competing not only with the Glock the longest, but probably the most successful as well. When most people think of Glock Alternatives, they do think of the M&P, and for good reason. It is essentially the same size and weight profile as the Glock. It is the same action, striker-fired polymer frame pistol, just like all the other guns on the table. Except the 2.0 comes with arguably the best grip in the business. It has great texture, great grip inserts, and we have an awesome trigger after we replace it with the Apex in the old 2.0s. But the new shields and stuff like that have amazing triggers in them right out of the box. We have sight and accessory availability on par with Glock, which is pretty cool. We have availability in stores on par with Glock. We have holster availability on par with Glock. The cool thing about the M&P though is not only is it an American company, which is very cool. Smith & Wesson's been around a long time, making the Schofield back in the day, and a ton of my absolute favorite guns, 686, all the revolvers in the world. Love Smith & Wesson, and I love the M&P series as well. Comes with a Picatinny rail. It's got a pretty mean look, but what I like about it the absolute most, besides the grip, is because it's a little bit heavier, about 2 ounces heavier, it has a lot less recoil, in my personal opinion. I really enjoy shooting these guns, and another big advantage on the M&P series, especially when you talk about snow, ice, and mud, is the fact that it does have a takedown lever here, which is much easier to push when the gun is dirty, sandy, or wet. You ever seen the No Country for Old Men where he jumps in the water, he's got to take the 1911 apart and clean it real quick? If you ever had to take apart and clean your gun very quickly, you were gonna wish you had a takedown lever, because these Glock takedown pins here, if you get any sand and dirt underneath them, are an absolute nightmare to take off. So there's a lot of pros to the M&P series, but the fact that it does everything a Glock can do for a little bit less is the main one. All right, so before we get to number one, I do want to mention a couple of honorable mentions. I guess I already kind of did. The Hellcat, the P320 for sure. I'm just joking about the P320. I always poke at you thick guys because you guys get so mad. But I did want to mention the P320. I did want to mention the Hellcat. I like the IWI, but one of the guns that was almost on the list as well is going to be the FN 509 series. The only thing that really kept it off was the 509 Pro or whatever it was, because that gun was garbage. But the 509 Mid and the standard tactical models are very good. They just come in a little bit more than the Glock, so it kind of pushed them off this list. That being said, if you're interested in something different, not necessarily cheaper, the 509 is a pretty good gun as well. Now, let's talk about number one. And it had to be number one because it's for sure my favorite of all of the guns on the list. That being said, all these guns are probably a tie. I would imagine most people have their own personal preference. This is just mine. The PDP. I really like the PDP. If it wasn't going to be the PDP at number one, it would have been the PPQ. I've liked the PPQ ever since it stopped being the P99. I'm a huge fan of the trigger itself. The trigger has influenced almost every other striker-fired gun on the table at this point, or in the market at this point. Everybody's trying to catch up to the Walther triggers, or the Canik triggers for that matter. We're getting attacked by a wasp again. I tried to murder him a minute ago. I'm allergic to wasps, so I might be ducking and weaving during the video. But the PDP series comes in as the most complete and probably the newest gun on the table, just because it really is the latest and greatest iteration of one of the better striker-fired pistols. We have improved ergonomics. This is actually the F model. This is for girls, so that's why the grip is a little bit small. I mean, I think it's for girls. Isn't that what it's for? It's for little-handed people.
The F is for female, I believe.
The Walther PDP is my favorite because it not only comes in with the best ergonomics as far as the grip goes. The grip feels extremely good. The trigger is amazing. The trigger is like a 4.5 pound striker-fired trigger. This is a stock one that I've never fired. So this is not broken or anything. You can see the reset on these guns is just unbelievable. You can go so fast and so accurate with these guns, it's crazy. And what they've done is they've improved the optics mount a little bit over the previous one. That way you can keep your iron sights, which is very cool. They did these super deep serrations in the front here that seem a little obnoxious, but when you're actually using them, it feels very well. Now, a lot of people don't like front slide serrations, but a lot of people don't run optics either. And if you run an optic in the rear, especially maybe one that's not quite as durable, you're not gonna wanna be playing with it too much and beating it off and beating it off and You're not gonna want to be doing that either. But you're not gonna want to be banging it off stuff. That's even worse. Anyway, you're not gonna be want to hit. You're not going to want to be hitting it with shit because you might mess up your zero. So the way to do that, generally come in over the optic, which is very hard to do. But the better way, in my personal opinion, is to come in front of the optic. Because when you are running the gun, pew, 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 the reload comes up here. It's actually faster to come over like this and come back on than it is to do the standard Travis Haley method and then come back on. So I like the deep slide serrations. I like the way they milled the slide. I love that it has a full pick rail. I like the new texture on the gun a lot. That was probably the biggest improvement over the PPQ series. And overall, I think it's personally the best striker fired gun on the market, and you can actually get it for even lower than you can a Glock or a lot of these other guns on the table as well. So I think Walther's absolutely killing it because of that, but you tell me what your favorite is in the comment section below. I really would like to see your guys' top fives because there's so many Glock alternatives that it would be pretty interesting to see what you guys come up with. And if there's no price ceiling, maybe I'll do another one of those at some point. Throw a staccato on there, throw some other cool stuff. But yeah, these are my 5 Glock alternatives. I think I did a pretty fair job of picking guns that compete with Glock for less money that have more features, but you let me know. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Please help out your local homeless shelters and remember to recycle. I'll check you later. That wasp is super right behind you. It's on the the finger gun's out.
Pew pew pew, you're on.
Really puts me in the mood, you know?
Pew pew pew, you're on.